So I want to make a hovertank. So I've made quite a lot of hovering creations, but none of them hover very smoothly or very well. I want to make something that hovers like in place and is actually like really quite good to drive. So I was thinking of what block to use. I could have used cardboard, but for this I'm going to make it out of metal. So yeah, first we're going to need the base of the tank, and then we're just going to try and make it hover. So here it is. And now I'm going to put sensors in each corner, just so we can actually detect when we're close to the floor. Now I'm going to have two different sensors, so I want this to be able to hover quite high up and hover quite low, which will be toggleable by a switch. Then I put down some extra sensors because I want this to be able to go over walls, and these sensors will basically detect when there's a wall in front of us and basically make us hover higher. Now I'm going to add some thrusters which are always on, which will basically just make this thing weigh less and make it a lot easier to hover smoothly. And as you see, it already hovers, but of course, if we knock this, it won't actually stabilize itself. So that's the next thing we need to work on. So now I'm just adding thrusters in each corner. And now I'm connecting it up to the sensors. It hovers, but it doesn't hover great. Now I need to change this. So my solution to this is basically make it so there's a loop, which instead of the thrusters always being on when the sensor's on, it'll pulse the thruster. It should basically just make it a lot better. So as you can see, it hovers okay at the moment. And here it is compared to my flying car. A pretty good improvement, to be honest. And now we want to test how good it is going forward, so yeah, let's see how this does. And as you can see, it's going quite slow, but it's pretty good for now. So then I turned the thrusters down a bit, but then I just turned them back up, so yeah. Don't know what the point of that was. When I turned them up, it did not hover so smoothly at all. But now I'm going to add some sensors on the sides just to make things hover better. So these sensors will basically detect one block less than the other sensors, which will basically mean that if we're really close to the floor, it'll push us back up pretty easily. So now adding those thrusters, let's see how this works. Now, as you can see, it works okay. It doesn't work great, so I got rid of them. I'll probably add them back later though. So now I'm adding some concrete, which weighs quite a lot, to just act as our armor, so we can get used to the weight of it. But then I need to add more thrusters, so yeah. Now this thing hovers okay, but it still doesn't hover great. So now I'm just turning down the thrusters to see if it hovers any better, and it basically just fell to the floor. Now it hovers okay, it hovers a bit slow, so we're just going to turn the thrusters back up. Now this thing is not very good at going forwards at the moment, because we've got a really high centre of weight, so we had to add some thrusters to the top. So as you can see, it goes forwards like really smoothly, and actually quite good. It does nose down sometimes, but we can solve that later. Now I'm adding in the side thrusters, because now I decide I need them. So yeah, we've got the side thrusters, and let's see how this hovers. So yeah, it hovers really nice until it went in a hole. Now this is a problem, because this tank needs to be able to go on uneven terrain. So let's work on that. So I'm going to add downward thrusters for when the thrusters on the side aren't on. So basically, if we're hovering too high, it'll just push us back down, which will be pretty useful. And as you can see, it hovers okay. It isn't a hole, which means it won't hover that smoothly. But now we're just going to add the mode, which basically lets it hover higher. Now this is pretty simple. We just need a switch and quite a bit of logic gates. So as you can see, this is the high hover mode at the moment, and it's okay. It's not great, but it's pretty good. So now I'm just adding some more thrusters, because it basically can't push itself up to the right height at the moment. You see, it hovers pretty well high up. Now I'm going to add some sensors on the front to basically detect when there's a wall in front of us. I did do this before, but now I'm adding more. So now I'm just going to connect them all to a logic gate, just so they all detect what's in front of them. And now it'll hover when there's a wall in front of us. At the moment, it only hovers on one side up, which kind of looks cool, but it's not very practical at the moment. And now I just need to add more thrusters so it can actually go over the wall. This was all testing, and it can go over the wall. Now this wasn't great, but it'd be pretty useful if you did need to go over a wall. Also, this thing hovers pretty well right now, and it's really quite fast. So now we're basically going to add the armor, because now all the hover stuff is done. It should work a lot better with quite a bit of weight, but anyway. So yeah, here's how it works. Of course it doesn't have the turret at the moment, doesn't really matter, but it's basically just a big metal box. Now I'm going to change how high this thing hovers in the high hover mode. And now it actually hovers pretty well. It's actually quite fun to go forward in. But of course, at the moment, I don't have any steering, which is something we kind of need. So to add steering, I just made an A and D converter and just hooked up some thrusters on the side into the A and D converter. So as you can see, we can turn. Not very fast, but since it's a tank, it probably shouldn't. So yeah, this thing's loads of fun to drive around everywhere, except when you crash. The hovering is pretty much done. So now we need to work on the turret. So the first thing I did is I found the centre of the tank. And now I'm just going to make the outline for the turret. So yeah, here's how big the turret will be. It's not going to be massive, but it's not going to be too small either. So I'm hoping for this thing to be to fire a large explosive, but we'll see how it goes. So this turret looks pretty cool, to be honest. And here's me just testing, to see if it'll all fit and stuff. So yeah, now we need to work on the cannon. So I want this thing to be able to aim up and down if we ever need to, but this one is going to have quite a lot of spud guns. So here's how it works so far, and it doesn't work very well, so I'm afraid we're going to have to fire small explosives, since the large explosives just won't work. We can aim up and down though. So you see, now we can fire two small explosives, which is still pretty good. It's not much of a tank anymore, but it's okay. So yeah, this thing can point up and down, which is kind of useful, but we're going to need a cannon. So yeah, this cannon isn't going to be functional, of course. I'm pretty sure I put a spud gun inside of it, but that's not going to help us much. So now we just need to put some curved pieces on the edge. And now this thing looks really cool, to be honest. Looks pretty good, to be honest. I'm going to change the sensors one last time. Now, I'm pretty proud of this thing. It was quite fun to make, and it's actually quite useful. It's not much of a tank since it can't go over much uneven terrain, but it's very good at rallying bots, except normally it flips over. That's one problem it has, but it's actually quite fun to use, to be honest. Now, this thing can go over walls, kind of. It kind of knocks it over, but it was actually pretty fun to go over a wall with. Of course, this thing isn't a great tank. It doesn't have that much like firepower, but it's still pretty fun to use against stuff. It was kind of nice to not make something out of cardboard again, because this thing's actually pretty durable. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, it'd be nice if you could subscribe, but it doesn't matter that much. Anyway, bye!